Well, hey, how's it going? It's been a bit missed. Well, I missed Tuesday, and then I was late on last Tuesday. So apologies for that. For those of you who regularly tune in, I'm gonna put some color on the back here. Let's get this going. Oh, it's out of battery. White backdrop it is. Um, yeah, spring is crazy around here because for those of you who don't know, I live on a 5 acre farm with my family. And spring, for anyone who is farming, I mean, we're not big scale farming by any means, we're small scale. But spring is where everything is going bonkers. There's so much to do, plants to put in the ground. We grow all of our produce from seedlings, so we don't buy new seeds. It means nurturing them up and then getting them in the ground. And we've moved the greenhouse on our farm over the winter. One sec. Just drinking my coffee. And that required, again, to move power, which mean new trenches, which mean to ship water to that end of the property to change. So the whole kind of structure has changed, and I've been digging up putting trenches everywhere, relaying pipes for sprinklers and water and power, and so it's been pretty gangbusters. And then my son, who is a pretty avid mountain biker, his competition series kicks off. So today I'm driving 4 hours down island 3 hours, to a competition, which will be all weekend. So it's just been really distracting and busy. And sprinkled in there, I got work. I got to go to Vancouver and take care of business there. So it's almost been a year. It's almost been a year since we started this podcast, Abigail and I, and she's been in and out whenever it's convenient for her. But I broke my back almost a year ago coming up here, and that's when I was kind of kicking around the house and decided, let's do this podcast thing. And I've been consistently been able to put out one a week, which has been a lot. It's been exciting. It's been fun. Searching out lots of guests online, digging deep into my friendship pool and pulling those people together. And it's been crazy. And my goal in my head was to kind of, and Abigail too, I think, was to reach 100. That was kind of like the thing. And I think we're in the low 60s now. And it's kind of reached this point where it feels like the tires are going a little flat on the vehicle. And I don't know if that's just spring and the distraction. I mean, I'm such an outdoor boy. Like ever since I was a little kid, you could not stop me from getting outdoors. It could be pouring rain, windy, you name it. I would figure out some kind of game to be playing in the wild weather, the good weather and the bad weather. I've always loved. I mean, I can just remember working sheep farming on England, in England on the hills, the coastal hills. And, some days are really rough weather, but I just always have not liked being indoors. Love being outdoors, and it's not changed in my 50s. So it's hard for me to sit down in this dark room when the sun is shining outside and there's so much to do. And I get so much pleasure out of creating, building, fixing, making, polishing. It's kind of like having a farm or property is kind of like having an old car that you found, a rusty old car that you just have this dream of bringing it back to its original glory, and it's this obsessive type of art piece. Well, a ramshackle property is the same thing for me. I'm like, I can turn this around because I know I can do everything with my hands. At the moment, I am restoring our barn. It started out in the winter and thought it'd be done by now, but it's not. It was a big job. It was all needed new footings. I took out all the structural walls on the inside of the barn to make more room, and I had to put beams in everywhere. Everything was out of level, out of whack. And it's funny because growing up in the UK, most houses I ever worked on were 400 or 500 years old. And they were all out of level everywhere. But here we're kind of obsessive about level and square. And now I'm building on the side. So I'm building a loft up top for my wife to teach her breath work, which is what she does. She's getting her practitioner's license soon. So I'm building that. And then down below, I'm actually building on one wing of the barn a bathroom, shower, and sauna, pretty big sauna. So I'm kind of like in the midst of that. And while trying to spin all the other plates. And yeah, so suffice to say, it's been distracting, and it's been hard for me. The tires feel like, if I'm honest, are going a little bit flat on this, and I really want to not let that happen all the way. But I will say that I think it's probably going to be a little more sporadic through the spring and maybe the summer. The winter is kind of like 4 o'clock, it's dark, come inside, hibernate. It allows for more creative things other than on the farm. But I have, I want to share with you guys, and it's a little muddled in my head. Abigail has this amazing talent to be able to take a complex concept that she's been dealing with in her head or watching or feeling, and pull that thread down to the very end, and somehow explain it in this beautiful way, like beginning to end. And really, my head's a little more jumbled. I'm realizing that I am ADHD, and my head is like popcorn all the time, and so it's very hard to do what Abigail does. So I think that's why we complement each other. But I've been going through a bit of a change in my life. And I think what happened is I was, we were out, we have this little running group. We do a lot of mountain biking. My legs are tired. We went on a hard ride yesterday, about 2.5 hours of hard riding. But in the winter, in the fall, we just would get together and run in the evening. So the kids would rip up the hill, and we'd all run with headlamps and go for a burger after. And I was kind of bitching and complaining about the war. And the guy in front of me, Kyle, my buddy, he was like, yeah, I just kind of turned off the radio. I realized it was making me sick, and I haven't listened to the news for like a year. And Gabe, my son, who was behind me, I didn't know, was listening. And he said on the way home, he's like, Dad, I wonder, like, Kyle's always giggling and laughing and kind of jovial. I wonder if maybe you shouldn't watch the news as much. And I was like, man, out of the mouth of babes. He's not much of a babe anymore, but out of the mouth of babes, wisdom comes. And it kind of sat with me, and I was like, you know what, maybe he's right, and there's this weird tension that happens inside of me. Life is full of tensions, right? A friend I used to have said that life is like a guitar. You've got 2 points on the guitar of tension. You've got the tuning head and the pin in the bottom that holds the string, and if you pull one of those out, the string just goes kaplunk. But it needs both. So that life is full of these tensions. It's not this and it's not that. It's somewhere in between. And I've always felt this kind of like, well, I need to be responsible. I need to know what's coming down the pike. Like, but as the breadwinner for my family, I need to be prepared if we're heading into an apocalypse. And so it's a bit of a trap, though. And I'm realizing that. So yeah, I'm like, my popcorn head's going off here, but I'll try and piece it all together. So. And then a couple of days after, my son Raven, so both of my children, my son Raven, who's in his 20s, sent me a link to a kind of a podcast, just a talk, like it was just a monologue. And he said, this one rocked me, or something like that. I was like, okay, I'll give it a listen. It was this guy called Neville. I'll pull up his name, because I've been listening to this guy on repeat. You were just there. Where were you? Neville Goddard. Yeah, Neville Goddard. He's got his beautiful Queen's English British accent, which immediately drew me in. And he was talking about things that, so I gave it a listen. He was talking about relaxing. And he was saying how relaxing is kind of the bedrock ground for creating. And we need to relax to be able to create a dream. And in our dreams, and our imagination is where, and this whole guy's philosophy, and is kind of very along the lines of who's that? Joe Dispenza. Everyone knows Joe Dispenza, the big meditator. The thing with Joe Dispenza is he takes these concepts, which, the concept is basically, projecting the person and the future you want into the universe, and then aligning with it, and then it will then give it back to you. Joe Dispenza's angle is he's actually hooked people up to like all of these electronics, and seen that when people focus their attention and meditate and project positivity in a full way, body and mind and soul, that actually there is a changes that happen on these electrical currents. Like there's an energy there, and he talks about the quantum space, and So anyway, I started listening to this Goddard guy, and he was talking about relaxing, which was like, okay, I don't do that very much. And then it started, talking about this whole, I can't remember what that movement was, but kind of like project, like seeing the future that you want and then aligning with it, and then it then comes back to you, was the power of attraction. Remember that could have been a bit of a bad taste in some people's mouths because it was a bit of an obsession. I think there was a book written about it, and I know in the Christian circles people got really obsessed with that. And so I was like, this, I just kind of had this epiphany. I was like, this kind of like, watching the news, all my conversations were like, how's it going, Joby? Oh, gas prices are so high and business is tough and it sucks. And I don't know, man. And the taxes, and it was all negative truth, but negative. And I'm like, it's not working. Like, it's not making me feel any better. I realized that some of my friends that I realized that when they would ask me how I was doing and I would answer them in this way, they would just change the subject or there'd be silence. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm that guy that they talk about maybe they're that guy, when they drive away, they're like, yeah, you notice Joby's like really like down in the dumps about stuff. And oh yeah, I don't really like it. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to be that guy. So I've basically decided softly to myself, I'm like, I'm going to fast off of social media. I actually bought this little like credit card thing that you can get on Instagram. I saw it posted. Basically, it when it's near your phone, you can choose what apps you want to shut down, and it shuts down certain apps like YouTube and Instagram, stuff like that. And I'm 80% of my time, I'm on the property, not looking at my phone. So I'm not a doom scroller but when I come inside and have lunch, I'm like, oh, I'm there. And, and it's amazing how quickly some time can rack up. So that helped. And then I'm just like, I'm going to just submerge myself in this stuff, in Joe Dispenza, in this one Spotify. It's called A Better Every Day by Ming Palinga. It's like, looks like an Asian person that just reposts. There's Joe Dispenza, and then you scroll down and here's this lovely Neville guy. He looks like he's out of the 50s, but he's actually modern because he's actually today's today because he talks about phones and social media and stuff. So I've been 2 weeks now listening to this guy on the way to the gym, listening to this guy in the gym, listening to one on the way home, listening to this guy on the farm. A lot of the stuff is repetitive, but I'm trying to rewire my brain, my neural pathways. And I interviewed a guy maybe a month or so ago, Dr. Suki, and he was talking about this as well, and how it's about a physiological thing. And Joe Dispenza kind of doubles down on that and saying, this isn't like woo-woo. This is actual physics. Like Joe Dispenza said yesterday, he's like, the heart actually emanates an energy that's like something like quite a few inches away from the body. Like it's like measurable. And so I've been, they talk about imagining the future that you want, but here's the thing: it's like this. Neville talks about the power of assumption, or the law of assumption, and he's like, if you, some guy might say, all I've ever wanted was a beach house in Florida. That's my ultimate dream. So you sit there and you think of it a couple times a day. This is what Neville says. You think of it. So you picture it in your mind, all the detail. Then you have to feel it. So you have to feel the emotion of what it's like to be in that home and how that feels. And then after you feel it, you let it go. Because now my personality is a striver. I'm like brute force. I will push this thing forward just with sheer brute force. I won't figure out an easy way. It's just like, just push. And that's the way I've kind of lived my life, But Neville was talking about if you force the dreams, like, I really want it, then you're acting as if you don't have it. So their whole philosophy is You need to align with the universe, to the quantum side of the universe. The universe is not a respecter of persons. It's not like, oh, this guy's a really nice guy, so I'm going to give him such and such. It's basically like a frequency. Like when I grew up, we had these old school radios where you had to spin the dial and you'd find your radio station. If you moved it just a micro to the left or the right, you'd lose the radio station. You had to like fiddle around with the dial. And I think sometimes in life, we're about half a turn away from the right frequency. But unless you move the dial, you're never going to hear the radio nice and clear, that station. You could stay the whole way on this kind of just on the peripheral, like you're only a millimeter away, half a turn away. And what he was saying was that, in the striving, you are then basically telling, you're basically acting like you don't have it. And his whole angle is you need to project, feel, and talk and walk like you already have the thing that you really want. That's hard to do because we want concrete evidence, like it's right in front of me. I want health, and you might be unhealthy, or you might be sick. Now, they also said the universe doesn't work on human time. Like, we've created this whole time thing. I was thinking the other day when I was walking across the farm, I'm like, who created this Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturdays off? Like, I guess maybe God, created the world in 7 days, and on the 6 days, and on the seventh day rested. And we kind of translated that to, we got to work 6 days and rest on the seventh. I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? Like if I take a Monday off, I feel kind of guilty. But if I take a Saturday off, I don't feel guilty at all. It's like, got to work. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. This is work time. 5 o'clock. It's time to stop, So we put everything in this kind of like timeline, and the universe doesn't work like that at all. It's like it will come when it comes. And so there's a bit of tension there because we're like, well, okay, well, I've been believing this thing for 2 weeks now and nothing's changed. And what these guys are saying is that, it's probably not this whole kind of 3-step process of imagining the thing, seeing the thing, like feeling the thing. That's a big thing. It's like feeling the thing. Like I've lived for, as long as I can remember with anxiety, like a lump right in my throat. I wake up in the morning and there's a lump in my throat. And that lump is really, oh my God, you've got all these bills to pay. You've got all this debt. You've got a business to run. We're in a recession. There's not enough work. On and on and on and on. And all of that. And there's so many things to do and you're not going to do them all today. And all this. And it puts this constant anxious little butterfly in my stomach and sort of like a lump right here in my throat. And recently I've just been started to be like, okay, I know in my head that worry doesn't change a thing, but I think we kind of get to this place where we feel that, well, the last time I really, really worried about something happened. I really, really worried about whether I was going to get that job, and then I got the job. And so your brain tells yourself, okay, worry equals result. Stress equals result. And that's the way I've kind of lived, is like my subconscious tells me if you worry enough, there'll be breakthrough. And it's not true. It just happens to happen. You just happen to get the job, maybe. I don't know. But the worry did not produce the job. And so I've been shifting that and saying, you know what? And this feels frivolous because I don't know if frivolous is the right word, but like when you have responsibility, like with my work, I need to get sales. I need to sell projects to keep the machine running. If I take it feels like not worrying about it is taking my hands off the wheel. And all these things are coming to my head. Like there was this book by Michael Singer called The Surrender Project. And I've read about 6 books in my whole life. And this book really rocked me as a business owner because he talked about, it's called Surrender Project. It's about full surrender. And he's a very, very, very successful man. And he just surrenders to the will of the universe. So the universe takes your dream. For me, it's like, I want to be financially able to not have to worry about money, but I don't care about big houses and fast cars. Like I really genuinely don't care if I drive a used car for the rest of my life. It doesn't bother me at all. But I would love to be able to take my family on 2 good holidays a year where we can afford to eat out and do the sightseeing and do all that stuff because I love that time. I want to not have to worry about whether I'm going to make payroll next week. I don't want debt. I want to live a healthy life. And in my head, I've said 95. That's the year. I'm going to croak at 95, and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to have any terminal illness. I'm just going to live. I'm going to get old and frail, but I want to live until 95. That's what I pictured in my head as I started to kind of like paint this picture of my life. Oh, I lost my train of thought there. Shit. I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, let's get the thread. We'll jump back in on the trail wherever it is. So anyway, I've been kind of building this kind of future for myself and painting this picture. And I think I was saying that you know, worry equals result, and I've realized that, or I'm in the place of realizing that it actually doesn't, and I can actually surrender. Yeah, I was talking about surrender. So you have this dream, you put it out, you believe it, you feel it, you think on it, and you act as if it's already here. So I am already out of debt. I am already living a long and healthy life. I am already going to have holidays with my family. That is already on the cards. It's already happening. Now, I don't have a plane ticket in my hand, and I still have a mortgage, and work is still pretty slow. But I think what I'm doing is I'm starting to realize that the universe does, if my radio frequency is off by a half a turn, because I know a lot of these things already. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try and turn that dial back and get a real clear signal of that radio station so I can hear the voice, hear it clarity, no crackle. And then I'm going to just stay on that station, because being off of that station is just not serving me at all. This worry is making me sick. Focusing on the negative is people are starting to notice, right? And what I've realized is with the news is like, you know, this whole battle that's going on in Iran is pretty hot. But it's so interesting because I will every now and then, I'll just pop into YouTube to look for something and I'll see the news feed and I'm like, oh shit, in 2 weeks, nothing has changed. It's been the same old, this thing happens. And this is what happens in war, right? It's like, oh, and these news people are making a living with clickbait. Like, it's all coming to an end. The world's burning, you know. And when you unplug for a while and you plug back in, you realize that it's just, nothing's moved. It's like, yeah, the war happened, but now it's going to be like the Ukraine. It's just going to keep on going. And I guess if something is bad enough, we'll hear about it anyway. I mean, I see the gas prices go up and down and I can worry sick about that, but it's like, I'm just kind of realizing that, you know, so anyway, for about 2 weeks, I haven't had this lump in my throat because I've just been posturing myself as Little Star, which is my company. Little Star is thriving. It's thriving and the work is coming. It's not here, physically here, but it's coming. It's in the pipeline. It's here. You know, and instead of, oh, I don't know if we're going to survive another month. I don't know how we're going to do it. And so every time you do that, the universe is saying, okay, that's the frequency you're putting out. Then I will give you back what you want, because it's not really a respecter of persons. It's like, Joby, I know that you really want it to be successful and this is a good guy and come on, let's just throw him a bone. The universe doesn't work like that. It just simply works on energy. So if you put out positive energy into the universe, it then has to respond to it. It has to respond to it. It's like a law. Now, there's a lot of faith I'm placing in these people that I'm listening to, but Joe Dispenza has been around forever. And the nice thing about Joe is that he's scientifically proven this. He's hooked people up to all of these electronics, and then they might be going through like some awful disease or something, and he's got them to think about something positive and try to think about their healing and imagine their healing and everything, and all of these dials are going crazy. So it's like something changes, right? When we align our body, our mind, our soul, our spirit, our feelings with a dream, then the universe it has to respond to that. And so I'm placing faith in what they say, because a lot of life is like that, right? Like you listen to someone, you're like, I'm going to do, like you listen to someone who talks about, you should buy gold now. Gold's going to go through the roof. Sell your Bitcoin and buy gold. You're placing faith in someone who knows more about something than you do. And I think that's okay. Sometimes it's not okay. But we learn that as we go down the road. Yeah, it didn't really work. But what I'm realizing is the alternative is kind of shit. The alternative is watching the news, getting stressed out, worry, 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 worry. You die young, you get sick, no one wants to be around you, and your life is full of angst and worry. The alternative is not that great. So I'm just like, fuck, it's not working for me. It's not serving me. I'm going to change my frame. So I've been walking across the farm and I've been raising my eyes up. I've been looking and I'm like, you have got me. You've got me. I don't know if I'm talking to God, the universe, something out there. I believe there's something out there. There's an energy. There's something out there. It's energy. Life is full of energy, right? Like we're all, glass is like a moving thing. You leave glass long enough and it starts to fall. It's sand. It's like everything's made out of moving particles. And I think I was talking with my neighbor. We were driving down Island, and he's an atheist, and he's like, I don't believe there is a God, and we're just going to die and turn into worms. But I was like, there's too many miracles in this world. Like I just cannot, buy into that. Like there's too many. Life is too crazy intricate to believe it's just some kind of accident. So that's what I've been doing. And I can feel doubt start to creep in a little bit. It's like, are you sure you want to do this? And then I keep telling myself, well, the alternative is pretty awful. So no, yes, I do. But the timelines, yeah, there's like these kind of rules that Neville talks about is like, seeing. So I lie in bed and I try and like imagine, what it feels like to be financially free. I don't need millions and millions in the bank. 500,000 in the bank at all times would be really nice cushion. And it feels so light. Like, worry about so much. There's a cushion there. So I imagine how that feels. Oh, it feels like, can I pull my shoulders back and stretch it out and like settle into it. So that's the feeling part, right? Like you got to think it aligned, but the piece that's really different is this assumption thing. It's like, and letting it go. Like the striving is not part of this process because the striving means that you don't already have it and you have to talk like you already have it. And then the universe will respond to that. If there's like I'm hoping to get it, it might happen. That's not the way to do it. It's like, you have to talk as though you already have it. You're projecting it into the world that is already here. It's hard to do that because we're so wired for physical results. I give you $1, you give me a candy. I give you $7, you give me a coffee. Tit for tat. We want immediate results, right? The faith that's involved in this is a thing. So don't strive. And then a speak is as though it's an assumption. It's like, well, yeah, the universe wants to give you great things. All of this is out there for your taking. You're just on the wrong frequency. Your radio is just half a dial to the left or to the right, or way over to the right or way over to the left. You need to bring it back to FM 98 where they play 80s rock. No, FM 98 or whatever the station is, and keep tweaking the dial, keep tweaking it left and right. Like I've had these growing up, I collected old radios. They were tube radios. They took a while to warm up. And you would like, and it was like a lot of finesse to find the actual perfect spot for a clear version of that radio station. And sometimes you'd bump it, and it would just kind of roll off, and you got to like move it back again. And I think that's like that with this. There's maybe you're thinking the thing that you want, but then you're striving. I got to pull out the striving piece. Assume the law of assumption. I grew up in the way I grew up. I don't know. This free love, like having to earn your love, having to earn it, trying to work for it. It's a thing, right? Like, I think that's why Catholicism was so successful, because it was like, you have to pay your penance. We want to pay for our sin, but something free, we have a hard time with. Jesus came and said, eternal life is free. You just got to believe in me. Simple. And the Pharisees and all of that are like, what do you mean it's free? You got to work for it. You got to pray for it. You got to whip yourself. You got to do all this stuff. And, and apparently the law of the universe and all of the great things it wants to send our way is free for the taking. It actually wants to have this synergy. It's like, I want to give to you, but you're not holding your hands out to take it. So I'm not going to give it. It's like we need to align with our hands open. And yeah. And I know the thing that everyone thinks is like, yeah, well, what about all the people that are sick that really believe and they don't get well and all those things? I don't really have all the answers because I'm just learning all of this. But yeah, the universe probably works in mysterious ways and doesn't sometimes take us down the path that we think is the best way. Takes us on this big windy journey sometimes. So yeah, you got to learn a bit of this and you got to learn a bit of that. And I'm going to give this to you in a different way. So there's lots of questions and I can feel this energy that comes even through as I'm talking. It's like we're so want concrete results right away. That's just the way we are. I gave you $1. Where's the thing you're going to give me back? I gave you my time. I meditated for a week. I don't feel better right yet. We want it immediately. This delayed result. We want everything figured out and like a hard map in front of us. This mystical kind of unknownness is hard for us to embrace. We want concrete. Oh, so you're saying if I meditate for a week, I'll get the Lamborghini I've always wanted? For sure. Yeah, you will. Cool. I'm doing it. But it's like, oh no, if you meditate for 6 months, you might get it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But my argument is, what's the alternative? The alternative is to worry yourself sick. And in actual fact, that does not bring the results that you want. We think it does. I think it does. I thought it did for years. I remember reading the Surrender Project and it really helped me. And I've fallen away from that. And I've realized too that I have trauma from physical accidents. I've had a lot of them. But I'm realizing now that I actually have business trauma. Pretty serious business trauma because in 20 years doing business, I've been ripped off. I've been double-crossed. I've had to bail out my company twice. I've had to go into debt for it. It's given me a lot, but it's caused me actual trauma. So I've realized that all of this trauma has narrowed in the fences of my ability to take risks or to step out or to try anything. And I'm like, oh man, that's a thing. Like I'm scared of stepping out and expanding or anything like that takes a little bit of risk because of this past trauma. But the Surrender Project for me really was a moving point because I was under a lot of pressure back then, I remember. And then I read this testimony of Michael Singer's journey of literally just saying it's up. He says, I embrace life is like standing in the ocean and the wave that is crashing over my ankles right now. I take life as it comes to me, like what is happening right now. What about the future? You own all this, multi-million-dollar business. I don't worry about it. I just worry what's right in front of me. The unfolding of life as it unfolds right in front of me. And I was like, And the testimony of someone who was successful doing that was really helpful for me. So I just remembered laying in bed and just thinking, I don't control anything. If I lose my house and I lose my business and I lose it all, it's not because I didn't worry enough. It's just because that was what was supposed to happen. And I think it's all on me piece, which came up when I was talking to Kim Johnson a couple podcasts back, it's not true. It's not, I can't hold this all together. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm like, the world is like magic. Like what makes someone look through a website like Google, like review and say, oh, I'm going to go with that company. It's kind of magic. Why didn't you pick the one above or the one below? I don't know. I just felt like that one. So they were prompted by this kind of magical prompting. And then that business comes to you and, somehow you just keep paying the bills and somehow it all keeps happening. It's kind of magic. It is. It's not concrete that someone's going to pick up the phone and call and ask for me to do the work instead of someone else. There's nothing for sure. It's not like we have government contracts. It's like, I don't know, the phone just rings and the work just seems to come in right when we need it. And so noticing that helps me realize more and more that, yeah, I don't really control anything. Now, we do need to be responsible. We need to put in the work. You can't just lay on your butt and lay on your back and just say, well, it's all going to just happen. No. There's a responsibility. I don't have a problem with that part, doing the hard work. But there is a responsibility where you have to, if the universe is saying that door there is unlocked, all the other doors are locked, that one's unlocked, I have to get off my ass. I have to walk across the room. I have to put my hand on the handle, turn it, and walk through it. That is my part, right? You can't just sit there and say, "Oh, cool, it's unlocked." I'm thinking it's going to open by itself, and then whatever's going to come is just going to come to me on my lap in a silver plate. No, there's a responsibility there. It's like a duet. It's a call and answer. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry if I feel like the tires are going a little flat on the pod. I hope we don't lose everybody or anyone, or I don't know. If you're thinking of me, just ask the universe to give a fresh energy. I have, I do enjoy this, and I would love for this to be something that was more than like I do enjoy talking to people, finding out things, but it takes a lot of effort to find guests and see if they're interested, and you really got to chase it, and you have to be on social media a lot because you got to post. You've also got to find new guests, and that's where I found a lot of guests. And now I'm kind of stepping away from that a little bit, kind of unplugs you from the main frame. And so, yeah, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I'm willing. And like I said, spring and summer is a little hectic. And we'll just take this as it comes. And whoever stays with us, well, I'm grateful. And if whoever falls off, well, it's all good too. It's been good to process that. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I'm still in the middle of figuring it all out, but it feels good. It feels good not to have this anxiety. It feels good to come back to this place of surrender and hope and belief. So I hope that helped somebody. If you do want to jump on this positive bandwagon I'm on, like I said, it's on Spotify. It's called A Better Every Day by Ning Paliga, Ningpaliga. It's backwards. I don't know. She's someone that just reposts a bunch of stuff, I guess. There's just a whole schwack of, some of it gets a bit Christian. This one guy that's on here talks Jim John, not my fave, but take the good, toss out the bad. There's some really cool principles in there. And yeah, I think try unplugging from, maybe you guys are all unplugged and I'm the only plugged in one, but try unplugging from the negative swirl of the news and try an alternative and see how it works for you, because it's working good for me now. I haven't had major concrete results as far as like, well, it's a brand new car in my driveway and all of that stuff, but my physiological feeling is a lot better. And I've noticed too, when someone's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good," instead of immediately feeling like I have to check in with the negative. It's not like I'm avoiding the negative. It's like the first thing I seem to want to be doing lately, before I went on this journey, was just talk about the state of the world. It's like this Eeyore syndrome. And now I'm just kind of pausing on that thought. I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on something different. All right. I love you all. And I appreciate your time. How long did I go for? 43 minutes on myself rambling. And we'll see you when we see you. Sooner than later, I hope. All right. Later.